ninth grade and 7th grade, and they go to Farragut schools and have the whole time they've been in school. I went to Lenore City High School and graduated from the University of Tennessee, and I was a buyer for Profits department stores. I don't know if you guys remember Profits, but I was a buyer for Profits until I had my older daughter and left at that time to be a stay-at-home mom, and have loved being a mom, and as soon now I work part-time on the children's ministry staff at Christ Covenant Church, and I've been there for about 8 years doing that as the elementary education coordinator. But before my daughter even began kindergarten, one of my neighbors recruited me to be on the PTA board at Farragut Primary School as the secretary. So from day one, that kind of began my volunteer career in the Farragut schools. And I was PTA president at the primary school and the intermediate school. I've been on the and always been on the boards. I'm on the PTSO board at the middle school and the high school now. And I've served on the Knox County Schools District Advisory Council from 2011 to 2013. One of my favorite things that I was able to do when I was the president at the primary school, I found out toward the end of the school year that the principal, Mrs. Craze, had been given a directive that the library next year would change to a closed, more like a block schedule library. It was an open access library, which meant that the kids could go anytime they wanted to go. They could go get a book, they had an AR system, they could take a test, earn points. It was a great motivator for kids. And I worked in the library, so I would see kids come in all the time. Some kids go every day, some kids every other day, but they could go freely whenever they wanted to go. If they changed to what the county had wanted them to do, they would only have been able to go to the library once every 6 to 7 school days. I don't know how the schedule would have worked out, but it would have been on a schedule and not when they needed to go. And so I went to Mrs. Craig and I said, you know, we have to have an open access library. These kids love coming to the library, getting books, and reading, and it's encouraging to them, and we can't stifle that. And she listened, didn't say very much, and so, you know, I thought, well, I did what I could. Hopefully she'll be able to work it out, and sure enough, she was. And as far as I know, it's still open today. And so it was a great, that was just a wonderful thing to be able to advocate for those students, and the students that are there now still benefit from that. So that kind of just led me down a path of just wanting to help teachers by helping to see that the things that they needed in their classrooms, that we could as a PTA help them get. And so that's been the beginning, and it's just kind of evolved from there. Since I did have those experiences, a lot of parents would come when they would see things that bothered them and just, you know, get my feedback, opinions, that kind of thing. And so that's where this kind of began. A couple of different sets of parents coming to me to say, hey, we think you should run for school board. And so at first I really dismissed that, and but the more I thought about it and prayed about it, like you guys know, we need to have people involved, and if we see things that opportunities to volunteer and to help and to serve, that's what we need to do, and that's the example that I want to set for my children as well. So I decided to get out of my comfort zone and jump in, and this is definitely out of my comfort zone, but it's exciting to think about the opportunity to be able to be a voice for teachers, for parents, for taxpayers on the county level. And so since my kids are in the schools, I see the good and the bad, and I think we have great schools, we have great dedicated teachers, and I think our people, our teachers are our greatest resource and our greatest asset. And there are some challenges there with teacher morale. I just heard today that actually 58% of the teachers in Knox County have been teaching for 10 years or less. That's a big percentage, and part of that is because a lot of the teachers that are seasoned teachers, it's getting too hard, and it's too difficult for them, and so that we're losing a lot of good teachers. I don't think we're seeing that as much in the 5th district as in some of the other parts of the county, but that's an issue. And so I'm concerned about that. I'm concerned about lack of instructional time that is happening as a result of all the assessments. And we know that standardized testing is a fact of life, and I think that most people accept that, but the environment that it's creating right now with test prep, practice testing, all of this, it's too much, and it's too much instructional time that's being wasted with testing. And so obviously the state legislature comes into play in making some of these decisions. But we as a Knox County board, I think would really need to work with them to try to get some of these things changed at the state. I think we need to look at our teacher evaluations and see if we can do those differently. The teacher evaluations are so closely tied to testing, and therefore the teachers are it's a weight on them. They're stressed, the kids feel that stress, nobody's happy. And everybody's not going to be hunky-dory happy all the time, but we want to send our kids to school with teachers that are excited about teaching, who are given autonomy in the classroom to be able to teach the way they've been trained to teach. And those kids are going to feed off that excitement. And so I think that there are that's also a state legislature issue. So there are definitely some things that the local school board can't control that we would need to try to work with the state and get some things changed. But I feel like that as a representative for our community, the most important thing that I can do is talk to teachers, talk to parents, talk to taxpayers, talk to business owners to see what kind of people they're looking for, what kind of the students that are graduating, what they're seeing, when they're trying to hire somebody to work at Buddy's or McDonald's or here or wherever. So that will be my role. Will be one of the roles will be to talk to the public, take it back, and truly be a voice for our kids. And that every single decision that's made goes back to, okay, what does it look like in the classroom? And we need to, obviously, our highest goal has to be improving the college readiness of our students, getting those ACT scores up. The ACT score has basically not changed over the past 5 years. And that's the college, that's the school, that's what tells you whether we're producing college readiness students. Of course, there are students taking that won't go to college, but anyway, that is, obviously that's a goal, but also, I think we need to make sure that we're educating and giving our kids an experience, a full experience that includes art and music and athletics and the whole 9 yards. And so anyway, lots of issues, and but basically I want to be able to be a voice for our families and teachers and taxpayers. So any questions?
Do you support charter schools?
I think that in some areas charter schools may be appropriate. I think that right now in Knox County, we have Emerald Charter School, and I think the school board made the right decision on not increasing the enrollment from the initial kindergarten and second grade, kindergarten and first grade enrollment. I think that we need to wait, see what happens with those schools before we vote on any additional schools or anything additional.
You for an elected or an appointed superintendent?
I feel like that the voters elect a school board, and then in turn the school board can appoint the superintendent. But I do feel like that it was suggested to me, and I think this could be a good suggestion, that maybe after 4 years in office, maybe there's a referendum on the ballot for the public to be able to vote yes or no on the superintendent.
Do you know how that would come to, do you know how that would come to be?
I'm sorry?
Do you know how a referendum would come to be?
I don't really, no.
You have to get the legislature to approve that.
Yeah, it's, it's an idea, that's just a thought.
Do you support the voucher system?
The voucher system, I think, for areas like Memphis and Nashville, I can see why some people would support a voucher system. I don't know that we need them in Knox County. We have a lot of choices in our schools. Our magnet network is actually larger than any other county in the state. There's lots of options for parents. So it's very simple to fill out a transfer form if you want to request a transfer. So I don't know that we need them in Knox County. I don't feel like the local private schools would probably accept them, because I don't think that they would accept all the regulations that would come with them. So I feel like we need to put the money that we have in our public schools. I think that we all, whether your kids are in private school or homeschooled or public school, we all need to be concerned with our public schools. Our community needs strong public schools. So I feel like our money needs to go into those public schools that are existing, and but I can certainly see why some people think that they would be beneficial. But I think we have a lot of choices in Knox County.
What is the cause of, you said it's coming hard to teach, so why is there that turnover of the older teachers? Not old teachers, but older than those that started this year?
I think that a lot of it is there's so much pressure with the teachers' evaluations. The standardized testing is that test component plays into their evaluations. There are some teachers, and it's just so that it creates this big stress. There are some teachers that are evaluated on students, and those scores are part of their teacher evaluation, and they've never actually even seen the student. Those students aren't in the classrooms, but yet those students' grades are part of the teacher's evaluations. And it's kind of this cycle. The teachers know what they need to be teaching, and they know how they need to be teaching it, but at the same time, they're very, there's all this pressure to make sure that their test scores are where they're supposed to be. So it's putting a lot of undue stress on teachers and on students, because the students feel that. If your teacher is stressed and not a happy, energetic teacher, that's gonna be how the classroom atmosphere is. So that's what I hear from teachers, that kids are stressed and they're upset, and kids want to please their teachers. These kids know that their scores directly impact their teachers' evaluations. That's stress right there, because the kids want to please their teachers. They want their teachers to do well.
So everything is, it's the classroom itself. It's not pay, it's not support.
I think the teachers would definitely love to be paid more, absolutely. But I think that the first thing they would say is that they would, I think the other issue is more important to them.
Are you happy that we're gonna be doing away with Common Core?
Yes, I think that's a very good turn of events, absolutely. Yeah. You know, yes.
I really like President Bush's idea of never letting a child go behind, but I think it has to be revamped or redone or changes made or something.
Well,
because
you know-
I guess it was the way it was implemented, but the idea that we don't want these all left behind
Right.
is good.
It is, absolutely. And actually, I've been learning a little bit more about community schools. And there are 8 Knox County schools that are community schools. And it's for those areas who have children who are born in, you know, who live in lower poverty areas. And, so the Great Schools Partnership has 7 community schools. The University of Tennessee partners with Concord to have a community school. So they keep the school open in the afternoon from 2:45 until 6. The kids have a variety of activities. They can paint, they can learn to play a new sport, just lots of different things that those children would never be exposed to otherwise. Some of them have dinner at the end of that time for families. They have classes that they offer to the families. There's an on-site coordinator for each of those schools that can help families with issues that come up that they don't know how to address.
That's really good.
I think it's a wonderful, because the thing with No Child Left Behind, if you have a child who's born into a poverty situation, they go to school not knowing their letters and their numbers, you know, right off the bat, they're hungry, they don't have their basic needs met, there's no way those children can learn and excel because their basic needs haven't been met. So it's not fair to that teacher because she has this child that is starting out at such a disadvantage. So these community schools really address a lot of those needs, which I think is really exciting and wonderful, not just for that child, but for the families.
How much of the money for Great Schools Partnerships public and how much of it's private?
Let's see, I know that this, $600,000, I think, is given by Knox County. And then the balance of it, would be corporations and private.
Do you think those salaries are high for the Great Schools Partnership? Buzz Thomas's salary?
I haven't really researched that. Yet.
I missed the beginning of the conversation about the community schools. Is that something you want to bring to the county, or is that something that's already here?
It's already here. It's in 8 of the schools.
In 8 of the schools?
The University of Tennessee began the program with Concord, and then the Great Schools Partnership has implemented 7 of them.
And how many schools do we have? If we got 8 in, how many is left outside of that?
You know, I'm not sure. I
A
really
lot
don't.
though, right?
92 school facilities.
92 are left
But
out.
not all of those would need to be community schools.
Because I would like to see that as a priority. I mean, we've got to get people out of poverty, and the only way to do that is to bring these parents involvement. We don't have a bad teachers, we don't have a bad school system. We've got bad parents out there. We've got to bring them into the loop here, get them involved. And if this is a way to do it, I'm all for that. Really. Including raising the assessments, if that's what it takes.
Yeah. I think really, it's,
Those after-school events, how is that, who staffs those?
I think it's mainly volunteers.
Is it-
There are some paid employees, and all of those have a paid on-site coordinator. There are also some people who are paid, but some of I think it's a mixture, some volunteers, some paid.
Well, just like with hungry children who go to school here. They come to breakfast here, and then some of them are eating breakfast and the others aren't. And the ones who do, they feel bad because they feel like they've been disrespected by the ones who don't. Give them all breakfast, give them all lunch, give them all dinner. I mean, we've got to have kids that are fed and ready to learn as
I think
opposed
they
to
do
a
at
hungry.
those schools. I mean, there are schools that
Exactly.
do that. It's not needed at every school, but there are some schools who.
But his point is there is poverty at Farragut.
Oh, yeah.
There is,
And there's kids that are going hungry because their parents won't ask for it. Is your point.
yes.
And county commission should do something about it, along with school board.
School board should do something about
You got the money.
it. They've got the question.
Anyone else?
No, but I can feel your passion, and I think that's really good. That's an important part of being a leader, I think, and wanting to run for office, and I can feel that you have that, and that's good.
Thank you.
That's a good character. That's it.
All right, thank you. I would appreciate your